Vivien, Alexa, and Andreas present Napoleon, France's greatest tyrant. A review of Napoleon's success while in power, but also an explanation of why, from a moral standpoint, Napoleon was a villain. So where did Napoleon's story begin? Napoleon was born in 1769 on the island of Corsica, just off the coasts of France and Italy. As a child, Napoleon attended military school in Paris, where he would excel in his studies of battle. Napoleon was short, awkward, and had a strange accent, so he was a fairly lonely kid. He didn't make a lot of friends. However, it's quite possible that thanks to this, he spent a lot of time on his studies and became the great military leader that he was. After school, Napoleon would be stationed in his homeland, Corsica. This would prove to be beneficial to Napoleon because it was a relatively calm place to be, and allowed him to survive the revolution that raged throughout France. Following the revolution, he would lead his troops through a series of battles that would highlight his military genius. These battles would gain him power within the new French government, but many of them would also display his villainous traits. The siege of Toulon was an example of his military success. Here Napoleon would force British ships out of the port and be promoted to general. As a general of the French army, Napoleon led a series of campaigns in which he gained land in Italy, Austria, Belgium, Holland, and the Rhineland. Still hungry for more power, Napoleon invaded Egypt, where he discovered the famous Rosetta Stone at the Battle of the Pyramids. However, the power that he was gaining was through violence and oppression. Furthermore, his success on land was not matched at sea. At the Battle of the Nile against the British, Napoleon's fleet was overwhelmed, and Napoleon abandoned his troops, showing his selfishness and his treachery. On his return to France, with the empire being threatened by multiple enemies and the government starting to turn against him, Napoleon staged a coup d'état, in which he became the first consul, effectively making himself the most powerful man in France, and he would eventually crown himself emperor. However, it was after he had basically become a totalitarian leader that his power and reputation started to diminish. His military tactics became inconsistent. He would flee battles whenever things went bad, and he massacred people in his attempts to keep control, such as in his invasions of Spain and Portugal. To make things worse, his hunger for power had turned him into the sort of leader that the revolution had tried to get rid of. Napoleon had brought an end to the French legislature and several rights and freedoms, but he had also made enemies all over Europe, and as the French military weakened, so did Napoleon's grasp on power. Following a series of failed military campaigns, such as the invasion of Russia and the Allied invasion of Paris, Napoleon was exiled. He tried to resume power at the Battle of Waterloo, but he was again defeated and imprisoned. He died in jail on May 5, 1821. His success on the field of battle had re-established France into a world power, but he didn't stay true to the ideas of the revolution, and his cruelty does not justify his victories. He had created another ruthless, authoritarian government. Yet Napoleon's ambition had made him reckless. He had taken too many risks, and his era had finally come to an end.